All right, so we have more news for you guys, more very grim news to say the least. I can't really see this being anything positive, to be honest with you. As the sun's activity in recent time has been talked about widely, as we're getting all kinds of mixed signals from their sunspots growing, which isn't really a mixed signal. That's actually a confirmed thing that these sunspots are growing and they are facing towards Earth, and they're being watched as being possibly active and has already been somewhat active already in recent times. I mean, we've been getting hit with okay, with solar radiation for the last couple weeks now, and we haven't really noticed anything too different, especially me. I mean, I haven't really noticed anything different other than it's just seems like it's been a lot hotter than it ever used to be, which is to be expected because I mean, if you believe in global warming, I mean, the whole cows just farting like crazy, and then you know, all the greenhouse gases from cars, reactors, I mean, all kinds of things that we use everyday necessities, you know, rely on gas for the most part. And that could also be a contributing factor to why it's also getting hot as well. And, you know, the ice caps are melt, you know, it goes on and on. So you basically get the idea. So, I mean, my point being is we haven't really noticed anything too out of the ordinary. However, there has been reports. I just read an article the other day. Thousands of airplanes and flights getting canceled all of a sudden, right? Like, delays are happening. I looked into it a little bit more to see if it had to do with the solar flares, and I couldn't find anything that was up to date that had talked about the two in correlation, but I'm assuming that it has something to do with that. And I know in 2012 there was a solar flare, and people got radiation sickness because of it. So, I mean, if you're flying that high and an X-class solar flare hits you that high in the altitude, I could imagine, like, now I'm not saying that people are going to start growing arms and legs and, you know, they're going to start hopping around like mutants, but you know, that's still radiation. I just don't know how much of it is enough to actually do anything to a person. But either way, I would like to live my life without any kind of form of radiation poisoning. So yeah, you know, just more grim news to say the least. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like this solar flare shit is going away, and it just seems like every other day it's just something more grim and grim. And it's you know, it's fascinating, like, that space and planets, its natural courses. This is just a natural course of what the sun does. As I would like to say, it's just getting old. It's a sign of it getting old. I mean, I don't know if that's a 100% correct example of what the sun actually looks like. I mean, we've seen all kinds of pictures of what it looks like, but, you know, if that is really what it looks like, then yeah, I mean, it does look like it's getting old, you know? Like, I know we still got another 5 billion years, but it just looks old. It looks like it needs to be relit up like a bonfire, essentially. All right, so here we go. A massive sunspot with the potential to send out powerful solar flares is pointed straight at Earth. And the last time we were covering this, there was just holes, right? Like, holes were starting to sprout up in this certain little area that they call AR. I don't want to say ARB. I think it's AR 3096, I believe is what it's called. The certain holes. It might even be this one right here. There's just a, you know, no big deal. There's just a hole that's the size of the Earth pointed right at us. So, I mean, something to definitely think about. So that's the last time of what we remember hearing and talking about this, is that these holes were sprouting. You know, they're potentially hazardous. Now we're hearing that they're pretty sure that solar flares are going to be coming at us, and it's going to be an X class, they believe. A massive sunspot with the potential to send out powerful solar flares is pointed straight at Earth, Forbes has reported. Solar flares send out intense bursts of electromagnetic radiation from the sun. They are caused when areas of the sun develop strong magnetic fields that temporarily halt the process of convection on the sun. The temperature of the area drops as a result of this and is visibly darker than the rest of the solar surface. It is therefore called a sunspot. Really quite interesting to think about it, like it's electromagnetic. No, what was it? It just said right here. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so I was right. Intense bursts of electromagnetic radiation from the sun. So something, okay, so what I was trying to say basically is something chemically is gone wrong in that certain area, and it's caused electromagnetic waves to it's crazy. Like, I don't know how to, I'm like trying to think of how you would picture that. You know what I mean? It's like really interesting. Electromagnetic waves, right? Or all just like crackling and just, looking like some Terminator shit. Just all these lightning and shit is just on a sunspot. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you would picture that really, but that's kind of crazy though. You know what I mean? Like, all this kinds of shit is happening on the surface to cause these sunspots. Now, my question is, how could we ever see that? Because I want to see something like that. We were able to capture what a black hole sounds like, and we just reacted to that. Now, what I want to see is visually what the burst of electromagnetic radiation from the sun actually looks like up close. I mean, we've seen videos of coronal mass ejections, but I don't even really quite know if that's the same thing as what this is talking about. Alright, so we got depending on, right here. At times, the sunspots can even grow to the size that can occupy multiple planets. So now it's saying that the sunspots can grow big. They can grow big to the size of like multiple planets combined. And that is pretty jarring. I can't say that's exactly what's happening to our spot, but our spot is at least the size of Earth, if not bigger, right? And it's ginormous. It's a ginormous hole. It's not super big, but it's pretty big. I don't know how else to explain it. The size of multiple planets combined into the size of a hole that is on the sun, right? Depending on the radiation released, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, classifies solar flares into 5 categories. Class A, Class B, and Class C are flares of relatively low intensity, while M class is used to be designated flares of moderate intensity. X flares are 10 times more powerful than the M class solar flares. Each class is further divided into logarithmic scale of 1 through 9, except X class, which contains further X class flares, are mostly rare, but when they do occur, they tend to have high number of intensities, such as the one in 2003, which was estimated to be an intensity of X40. The instruments developed so far can only accurately measure solar flares up to the intensity of X16. So, I mean, I was a little kid in 2003, and I don't remember going outside and seeing, and I just don't remember a solar flare happening. And I can sure in hell tell you that it wasn't being covered like this. So, we've been getting hit with solar flares since 2003. So this isn't something new. Like, I may make it sound like, oh, this is like, you guys, this is... But it is crazy, though, to think that we have a giant hole the size of 1 to 2 planets. I would probably say just Earth, the size of Earth, still facing at us, okay? shooting that. It's like a radiation cannon, essentially, pointing towards us, and a lot more bigger than it's been in recent times. That's what is kind of alarming. We have a little video right here. I don't really want to get copyright striked, but you guys can kind of see. Yeah, okay, so there's a perfect example right there, right? That would just be like the sunspot on the sun, but this thing is the size of a planet, right? And it's shooting out electromagnetic radiation. It's just crazy. It's just really interesting stuff. Look, see that? Okay, dude. Okay, I guess we kind of have a close look at it. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe there is actually some really close look footage of it. Wow. Dude, you guys, look at that. I guess my question was answered. That's what it looks like. That's all electronic frequencies, I believe. I think that's all electromagnetic energy. I think that's what that is. Like I said, it looks like the straight out of Terminator. You know, Terminator 2, when he's getting zapped in, essentially. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's really crazy, dude. Can you imagine if we were able to harness the energy from this? Imagine it, dude. That would be enough energy to probably not only power the whole planet for a while, but if you could harness that kind of energy from the sun, that would be pretty insane. I just wonder what you could do with that. You could definitely build a weapon with it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You could definitely use the sun's energy like this and somehow convert it into a capsule. A big giant like solar capsule that stores energy, and use that amount of energy, dude, would like disintegrate. Dude, it would like probably just, how do you say, disintegrate. Yeah, it would disintegrate anything. It'd be like a giant X-ray machine cannon that just fires this type of energy out of it. My point being is there's really just the endless amount of opportunity that this type of research provides. It was what my point was trying to make, but you know. Yeah, see right there? That's all the electromagnetic energy. I didn't want to watch the whole thing, but I just wanted to give you guys a brief idea that that's what's going on. Okay, so essentially this is what's going on, right? But the one we're dealing with is so ginormous that we don't know the potential of its full, of its full capability of if this hole was to get bigger and it continues facing Earth, like what is going to happen? Are we just going to get incinerated? Oh, look, I was almost right, you guys. It was AR 3089. I think I said 98, but it was AR 3089. So I was almost right. According to NOAA, Sunspot AR 308090 has been developing for some time and now has developed a Delta class magnetic field. This means that the Sunspot has the potential to let out an X class solar flare anytime from now. Since the Sunspot is pointed directly toward the Earth, we would be receiving the full blast of magnetic radiation. It is also possible that some of the partial matter from the sun would be let out also along with this flare, which scientists call a coronal mass ejection. If either of these events were to occur, we would be protected by Earth's atmosphere. However, spacecraft that provide communication and navigational services would not be so lucky. and could be even face critical damage, as SpaceX has learned the hard way. The sunspot is currently mellow, and scientists at the NOAA predict that the chance of an X-class solar flare is just about 5% over the next 3 days. All right, well, I see now an article comes out and exactly tells you listen guys, there's a 5% chance that this could happen. And who's to say even he's right? There could be at least a 15% chance, and they're just trying to downplay it. You know what I mean? Who's to really say? But all I know is you'd better have your batteries charged up. You better have all your shit charged up. You better have some backup electricity or something to help you get through what will possibly happen if we're blasted with this solar radiation. Everything's gonna go out. Communications will go out. Satellites will go get fried. And I don't know what will happen. I mean, we're already facing an economic instability at the moment. And if something like this were to happen, it would be a devastating blow to the economy. And it would be probably the recession for all. So we cannot have this happen. Just cross your fingers. Pray to whatever fucking sun god you believe in personally, because if shit hits the fan with this is definitely not going to be good. However, we haven't perfected the science to predict solar flares yet. Oh, well, you don't say after I just basically said that right now, but all right. Let's continue now. Scientists telling you, well, we don't really know predicted solar flares yet, and there's a good chance that such high intensity flare or even a coronal mass ejection could headed towards us, Earth, at any time. Even if Sunspot's AR-3089 goes off without much fanfare, a large hole in the solar atmosphere is leaking out gaseous material that could send a storm of solar winds. On September 4th, spaceweather.com reported if a solar storm materializes, auroras could be seen in the United States as far south as New York City and Idaho. Our sun is now close to reaching the peak of its 11-year-old cycle, so intensities of powerful solar storms are expected to increase in the near future. So essentially, even if after its 11-year-old cycle, we're not quite out of the woods yet. In fact, as long as I'm concerned, as long as that hole is facing towards us, we're going to be in a lot of very awkward situations. And who's to say that the end of the world wouldn't come because everything gets fried? Like, I doubt this would happen. But I'm just thinking hypothetical. Like, if it was to trigger a widespread blackout and everything starts glitching and shit, and I mean colonels are fucking sitting there with their sergeants and the shit's just shocking them and everything's blowing up in their faces. Okay, who's to say that like nukes and bombs and missiles that are all on electronic guidance malfunction, or they glitch, or and then bombs start launching? I don't know. I doubt that's gonna happen, but I mean, anything is possible, especially the intensity of how strong a solar flare is. And like I was just saying, with the magnetic electronic frequency that emits from the sun as it's going through its phase, and its dark spots and its giant holes are creating, it's letting out energy essentially. Who's to say that we wouldn't not be right to assume that there could be a very devastating blow to us at some point? As long as that hole continues to face us, I don't know what we can do other than just brace ourselves and start thinking that you may have to go without electricity for a while, that anything could happen. So just know that the signs are everywhere. That's all I can really say, but I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in with me this morning. to check up on our son to see how it's doing. Again, nothing really good about this other than just more warnings. So, you know, that's it. Just bringing you guys' son kernel mash ejection updates at the moment. It's been rather interesting to keep up with these articles, but they just seem to get more grim and grim every time I read them. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much, and I would appreciate it if you leave a like, all that good shit. You guys already know.